Can Emile unveil a hidden piano prodigy? Discover the touching, life-changing moment. Maria wiped her brow as she stirred a pot of her grandmother's famous casserole, the smell filling the diner and wrapping around her like a warm hug. The old recipes, filled with love and history, grounded her in this economically struggling town of Maplewood. This casserole wasn't just food, it was a link to her grandmother's unwavering spirit. Everything Maria did was for Leo, her bright and restless 16-year-old son. She could hear him in the back, lost in the melodies that resonated through him, music pouring from his fingertips like honey. Yet every note seemed to pull him further from her grasp, further from the financial stability she so desperately wanted for them. Leo! She called, and he reluctantly stepped out of his musical world, his guitar slung across his back like a heavy burden. Help me with the potluck prep. He sighed, the weight of expectation heavy in the air between them. As neighbors buzzed in and out of the diner, sharing stories of struggle and resilience, Leo felt trapped. His dreams slipped away whenever he was reminded of the responsibilities he had to shoulder. The annual potluck was a chance for the community to unite, but for Leo, it felt like a saddening reminder of what he might never achieve. Performing on a stage, letting his heart sing in front of an audience, the chatter became a lullaby, but it didn't silence Leo's inner turmoil. He caught Maria's eye, and she offered a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. With every casserole recipe passed down to her, she feared that it would be the music that drew Leo away from home. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In a moment of serendipity, as Leo rummaged through the cluttered storage room of the diner, he stumbled upon an old, dusty piano, a forgotten relic that seemed to pulse with potential. Dust danced in the rays of sun breaking through the window as he touched the keys, hesitantly at first, until the notes flowed out, washing over him like a soothing balm. As the first chords echoed, the diners turned. Maria's heart raced. Was this the moment she feared? The local Vietnam veteran, always supportive, encouraged Leo to play during the potluck. The crowd gathered, amused at first, then captivated. Leo poured his heart into each melody, filling the diner with the essence of his dreams, but as applause rang through the small room, Maria's chest tightened. She saw the admiration in her neighbor's eyes, but it scared her. Would this lead Leo away? Would the soft whispers of what's next reach his ears and drown out her voice? Just as the crowd erupted in cheers, one neighbor stepped forward, sharing a story about a family connection tied to music that transformed the atmosphere, igniting a flicker of hope and revelation in Maria. Would this shared moment change everything for them? In that heartbeat, Maria and Leo stood at the crossroads of love and dreams, two paths intertwined, yet so far apart. Would they navigate this moment together, or would the music pull them into a silence neither of them wanted to face? The applause faded into a warm murmur, and Leo's heart swelled with a mix of joy and anxiety. His fingers still tingled from the piano keys, and the faces of familiar neighbors blurred together amidst his racing thoughts. The cheers had lifted him, but the weight of his mother's apprehension pressed down harder than ever. Wow, that was incredible! The voice of Mrs. Thompson, an elderly woman with silver hair piled high, broke through his reverie. You reminded me of the dances we used to have at the community center. You must play again. Leo smiled weakly, eyes darting to Maria, who stood behind the counter, her smile fading into a frown. The moment spun in his head like a whirlwind. He always dreamed of sharing his music, yet seeing the concern etched on his mother's face made him hesitate. Thanks, Mrs. Thompson, he replied, trying to sound enthusiastic. Maybe next time. Next time. The phrase felt loaded, as if it carried the weight of unspoken expectations. He wanted nothing more than to jump into the deep end of that musical pool, but doubts crashed over him like cold water. Would performing lead him toward his dreams or push him further away from the safety of home? Maria busied herself, arranging plates while she fought the rising tide of emotions within her. Each clang of silverware felt like a reminder of the risks that loomed. She saw the spark in Leo's eyes when he played, something she had longed for him to find, but with each note, she also feared losing him to a world that might not catch him when he fell. "Mom, can we talk?" Leo ventured, stepping away from the crowd, his guitar now feeling like an anchor rather than a bridge to his passion. She nodded but hesitated, wiping her hands on her apron. "Sure, sweetheart. Just give me a minute." As she exchanged pleasantries with the customers, a knot of worry tightened in her chest. Would this talk bring them closer or pull them apart? Once the last casserole was served and the remaining dishes cleared from the counter, Maria finally turned to Leo. The flickering lights above highlighted their two shadows, elongated and heavy with uncertainty. "I saw you out there," she began softly. "You were amazing." His shoulders slumped slightly, a mixture of relief and apprehension crossing his face. "Thanks, Mom. But I can feel what all of this means to you. I don't want to let you down." Tears pricked at the corners of Maria's eyes. "Leo, you have to chase what makes you happy. But I worry about what happens if you do. I want to be with you, Mom. I just don't know how to balance it all. It feels like I'm torn between music and responsibilities." Silence enveloped them, the shared weight of truth hanging in the air. Maria thought about the sacrifices her grandmother made, the foundation they built together. She wanted Leo to have his own foundation but was terrified of what it meant for their small world. What if there's a way for both? She proposed suddenly, hope flickering in her heart. What if we figure out a way to make your music part of our lives? I can help you find opportunities." The spark in his eyes returned, igniting the space between them. "You would help me? You've inherited your grandmother's spirit. You deserve to share it." He felt a softening in his heart, though shadows of doubt still lingered. What if it isn't enough? Maria reached for his hand, squeezing it tightly. "Then we'll find a way together. We will navigate this as a family." In that moment, the world outside the diner faded, and an understanding began to build, a fragile dream they could nurture if they faced it together. Would the music bring them closer, or would they find themselves in deeper waters than before? As they stood there, hand in hand, a request echoed through the diner. A familiar voice called for Leo to play, igniting a new round of applause. Would he take the leap once more, or would the shadows of uncertainty pull him back? The applause swelled again, pulling Leo back into the moment. His heart raced as he took a small step toward the piano, the wooden surface gleaming as if inviting him closer. The familiar scent of the diner hot coffee mixed with the sweet aroma of pies wrapped around him like a warm blanket. The noise of the crowd faded into a gentle hum as he focused on the piano. "Go on," Maria whispered, her voice full of encouragement that offered him strength. "Just play what feels right." Despite the knot tightening in his stomach, Leo approached the instrument. The memories of practicing alone at home surged through his mind, the countless hours spent lost in melodies and harmonies. He felt both excited and terrified as he settled onto the bench. The crowd awaited him, their faces a sea of support and hope. With a deep breath, Leo's fingers found the keys. He hesitated for just a moment, feeling the coolness of the ivory beneath his fingertips. Then, he pressed down, letting the notes flow like water through his veins. A simple melody began to take shape, something that echoed his feelings, an honest reflection of his passion and his fears. As the music filled the diner, he caught a glimpse of Maria, her eyes shining with something between pride and relief. The warmth of their earlier conversation infused his playing, and he began to experiment, transitioning from one melody to another, the rhythm finding its way into the momentum of his spirit. People began to sway slightly, caught in the ebb and flow of the music. Mrs. Thompson clapped in rhythm, her enthusiasm spreading, sparking a lively response from the entire diner. Everyone was swept up in the moment. Leo's nervousness began to dissolve as his family and friends connected through his notes, and yet, amidst the joy, a sliver of doubt prickled at him. What if this was just a fleeting moment? What if, when the music ended, he was back to facing the weight of responsibility and expectations? Would the crowd still roar for him, or would their applause fade into silence, leaving only the hum of uncertainty lingering in his mind? When he closed his eyes, he could see the future he feared staying in the diner, a lifetime of plates and coffee cups instead of stages filled with lights and cheers. But as he played, part of him soared. Maybe music could lead him somewhere far beyond this moment, toward opportunities he had yet to see. Just then, he heard a familiar laugh break through the melody. It was his old friend Jason, who had moved to another town. It was a surprise to see him here. Jason's presence was both unexpected and uplifting, a reminder of the paths they had talked about during late-night music sessions filled with dreams and laughter. Leo felt himself swell with a renewed sense of determination, the notes coming alive under his fingertips. With a flourish, he finished the piece, the last chord reverberating through the room. The applause that followed was loud and unabashed, a wave of encouragement that washed over him. As Leo opened his eyes, he scanned the crowd, and his gaze settled on Maria, who was beaming at him. Pride swelled in her chest. This was just the beginning, a small step toward the possibilities they had dared to imagine. But when the crowd settled and murmurs of interest began to bubble beneath the surface, Leo heard a voice he hadn't expected. "Who taught you to play like that?" Leo turned slowly to see a stranger at the counter, eyes wide and intent. A look of curiosity mixed with something deeper flickered across the man's face. "I think I know someone who could help you take this to the next level. Let us talk." Leo's heart lurched. Was this the opportunity he had been yearning for, or just another step into uncertainty? As the conversation with the stranger unfolded, Leo stood on the brink of something he never imagined possible. Was he ready to uncover the truth behind his talent, whatever it may bring? The room buzzed, breaths held in anticipation. Leo glanced at Maria, who nodded encouragingly. Her eyes shone like stars, and with that gentle push, he turned to face the stranger. The man, tall with an easy smile, looked as if he carried wisdom in every wrinkle. "Let me introduce myself," he said, his voice steady and warm. "I'm Eric. I manage a local music school. We're always looking for fresh talent, and what you just played shows promise." The words washed over Leo like a cool breeze on a hot day. Just when he thought he might drift back into the familiar shadows of self-doubt, Eric's gaze cut through the fog. Could this be real? Was someone finally noticing him, not just the coffee-spilling busboy, but a musician with potential? Really? Leo's voice almost trembled, surprise bursting through. "I've never considered that. Why not?" Eric replied, leaning on the counter like he had all the time in the world to talk about dreams and possibilities. "You have something special, Leo. Your music today connected with everyone in here. It touched them." Leo felt his heart race. "But I work here. I don't have the money for lessons, and I stop," Eric interrupted with a smile. "I'm not here to put a price tag on your talent. This is about passion, creativity. We have scholarships, support for gifted students. I wouldn't be asking if I didn't believe it. You don't have to decide right now, but think about it." Leo swallowed hard, suddenly feeling the weight of his dreams pressing against his ribs. Maria's smile pushed a wave of warmth through him, but the fear gnawed just the same. Was he really ready to step out of the diner and into a world where he could be an artist? "What if I fail?" he whispered, mostly to himself. "I think the bigger question is what if you succeed?" Eric said softly, his eyes sparkling with encouragement. "What if this is the chance you've been waiting for?" The music from moments before echoed in his mind, the joy it had sparked, the way people had moved and shared their laughter around him. "I've dreamed of playing on stages performing, but my life is here," Leo admitted, feeling raw and exposed. "What if I lose all of that?" "Sometimes, leaving what is comfortable is the first step into what is extraordinary," Eric said, his words guiding like a lantern in the dark. Taking a breath, Leo slipped his gaze back to the piano. The keys seemed to glow brighter now, as if each note held a promise just for him. "Do you really think I can do this?" he asked, searching Eric's eyes for a hint of doubt. Eric's expression hardened just slightly with conviction. "I know you can. It'll take work, commitment, and a little belief in yourself. But if you're willing to try, so am I. Let us explore this together." The surrounding diner faded into the background, the sizzle of the grill and chatter of friends lost in the haze. It was just him, the stranger who believed in him, and the weight of possibility. Suddenly, Jason chimed in from the booth where he had been watching with an eager smile. "You got this, man. Just imagine playing in front of real audiences. We could come see you." Leo's heart swelled, a mixture of joy and longing swirling within him. Could he really take the leap into the unknown? "All right," Leo said slowly, feeling a spark of excitement ignite. "Let us see where this goes." Just as Eric reached for his phone to set up a meeting, the bell above the diner door jingled and a newcomer stepped inside. The buzz shifted as the crowd's attention turned, and Leo's heart raced another beat. Who was this person, and would they shift the course of his journey again? As the door closed behind the newcomer, Leo felt another wave of anticipation wash over him. What new chapter awaited him now? The newcomer stepped into the diner, a woman with wild curls cascading down her shoulders and a vibrant scarf wrapped around her neck. She seemed to embody a kind of unrestrained energy, eyes wide with curiosity as she scanned the room. Leo's heart pounded harder. Could this be someone who could understand his dreams? "Hey, everyone!" she called out, her voice bright and clear, cutting through the usual din. "I'm Nora. Just moved to town, and I'm looking for a place to settle in for a bite." Leo watched as she approached the counter, her presence captivating. He felt a strange pull, a strong sense that she was about to play a pivotal role in whatever adventure lay ahead. Eric smiled at her, and Leo noticed a spark of recognition flicker in Eric's eyes. They seemed to share a quiet understanding, and somehow, that made Leo feel both excited and a bit anxious. "As it happens, you've walked into quite the scene," Eric said, nodding toward Leo. "This young man is just about to embark on a journey that may redefine his future." Nora turned, her gaze locking onto Leo. "Oh really? What journey is that?" For a split second, Leo felt a rush of vulnerability. Should he tell her everything? He swallowed his nerves. "I might be taking music lessons. Eric thinks I have potential." "Potential?" Nora raised an eyebrow, a playful smirk forming. "Potential is where it all begins. I've heard whispers of you playing earlier." Leo blinked in surprise. "You were here?" She laughed, a sound that filled the space like music. "Yep. I was snagging a coffee while you worked your magic at that piano." She stepped closer, eyes sparkling. "I couldn't believe it, honestly. You've got a gift." Leo felt a warmth spread through his chest. Her excitement was contagious. "Thank you, but I'm not sure if it's enough. What if I just end up back at the diner?" Nora leaned against the counter, her expression softening. "Every artist has doubts. It's part of the process. But isn't it worth risking a little instability for a chance to find out who you really are?" Her words struck a chord within him, echoing Eric's sentiments. A wave of hope crashed against the walls Leo had built around himself. "You're right," he finally said, a spark igniting in his voice. "I've spent too long hiding. It's time to see what could happen to try." "Exactly. You have something to say, Leo. People need to hear it." She gestured animatedly, her passion evident. "And hey, if you ever feel like jamming or need someone to encourage you, I'm around. Music is better together." Leo's heart soared. The idea of forming connections, of switching from the familiarity of the diner to the rush of music, felt less daunting with her support. What if he could meet like-minded souls? What if he found a community that understood him? "Wow, I didn't expect all this today," Leo said, laughter bubbling against his will. It's like this moment just walked right in with you. Nora grinned, a glint of determination gleaming in her eyes. This is just the beginning. You'll see. Remember that it's okay to be scared, but don't let that fear silence you. As the two shared a smile, Leo felt a transformative thrill pulse beneath his skin. The warmth of possibility enveloped him. Suddenly, a thought crossed his mind, a tiny seed of courage taking root. Could a simple decision change everything? Before he could dwell on it, Eric interrupted, "So, Leo, how about we set a date for your first lesson? Let us see where this goes." Leo nodded, feeling the tension in his chest release. Confidence slowly replaced apprehension. "Yes. Let us do it." But just as the weight of this decision sank in, the door swung open again. A heavy-set man in a worn leather jacket entered, glancing around with a questionable expression. Suddenly, the energy shifted once more, and Leo's heart raced at the unforeseen change in the air. What uncertainty awaited him now? Would this stranger bring support or challenge everything he had just begun to embrace? The man's boots clomped heavily against the wooden floor, drawing everyone's gaze. Leo felt a chill creep up his spine. The weight of the newcomer's presence hung in the air. He couldn't shake the feeling that this unexpected arrival was about to shake things up. "Can I help you?" Eric asked, trying to break the tension with his usual friendly demeanor. The man's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the diner. "Just looking for a bite to eat," he replied, his voice gravelly, hinting at rough roads traveled. He settled into a booth at the back, folding his arms like a protective shell around himself. The casual conversation around the diner whirred on, but Leo couldn't shake the sense that something was off. Nora leaned closer to Leo, her voice low. "You okay? You seem a bit jumpy." "I don't know. It's just, he feels heavy," Leo admitted, glancing at the man again. "Like he's got a lot of stories he's not sharing. It's unsettling." Nora sighed and looked back at the newcomer. "We all carry our burdens. You'll meet all types in music, especially those on the edge of breaking through. Just remember what we were talking about earlier, embrace that fear." Leo nodded, but still, unease lingered at the back of his mind. He realized this was an odd juxtaposition. Here was Nora, opening up possibilities and encouraging him to step into the light, while this man seemed to embody everything Leo feared about his dreams' failure and loss. Adjusting to the weight of ambition was hard enough without the stark reminder of the other side of chasing dreams in front of him. Just then, the quiet of the diner was pierced by the sound of glass shattering. The man had clumsily knocked over a water glass on his table. "Careful," Eric warned, rushing over to assist. But the man waved him off brusquely, grabbing a handful of napkins from the dispenser to clean up the mess. "Just a little clumsy. Doesn't mean much," the man said, his voice edged with irritation, avoiding eye contact. Yet Leo sensed an underlying frustration that told a deeper story. Nora raised an eyebrow, her playful energy now tempered with concern. "Maybe he needs a distraction," she suggested quietly, glancing toward the piano. "Do you think I should?" Leo hesitated. A mix of fear and adrenaline surged through him. What if he played? Would it break the tension or make things worse? "Why not?" she urged, her eyes lighting up. "You could share your gift. It could change the mood." He felt the heat rise in his cheeks. The weight of his earlier decision crept back in. Could music be a release, a way to connect or disarm the heavy energy lurking in the corner of the diner? What's the worst that could happen? Nora asked, nudging him slightly forward. "You either inspire him or show him he's not the only one struggling." Taking a deep breath, Leo nodded, steeling himself. "All right. Here goes nothing." As he hesitantly walked toward the piano, the eyes of the diner fell upon him. He felt the warmth of Nora's encouragement behind him, and for a brief moment, doubt started to melt into something else, resolve. Leo seated himself at the piano, his fingers hovering over the keys. The room hushed, the diner's usual clatter dying away. He closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the moment. The first notes danced through the air, uncertain yet filled with promise. Suddenly, the man in the booth lifted his gaze. What would happen next? Would Leo's music reach the man? Would it forge a connection or send him back into his shell? The sound flowed from Leo's fingers like a gentle tide, each note rippling out, searching for something in the silence. The melody was soft, filled with the shadows of his fears but illuminated by flickers of hope. He watched the man in the booth from the corner of his eye, still clutching the napkin's remnants, every tense muscle in his body unwinding ever so slightly. As Leo played, the walls of the diner seemed to shrink, pulling everyone into the intimacy of that moment. Moments passed, each note sinking into the warm wood of the floors and rising to touch the high ceiling. The chatter around them lowered to hushed whispers, a cascade of quiet nestled beneath the piano's song. Nora leaned against the bar, her eyes glimmering with belief. She could see something stirring within the man, as if Leo's melody was peeling away layers of his defenses. The inside of Leo's chest fluttered with hope that maybe, just maybe, his gift could bridge the gap between his world and the heavy burden that newcomer carried. The song transitioned, transforming into a more intricate dance, harmonies intertwining like old friends reconnecting after years apart. With each succession of notes, Leo felt less like a trembling boy and more like a storyteller weaving a spell. He dared to glance up, locking eyes with the man. For the briefest moment, the weight around the man's shoulders lifted. His brows softened, and Leo noted a flicker of recognition there, as if the man was grappling with a long-forgotten dream. Was that vulnerability hidden beneath the hardened exterior? Hope surged within Leo like a wildflower breaking through concrete. He pushed deeper into the music, letting the melody carry its emotion. The diner was enveloped in a cocoon of sound, nerves dissipating, tensions melting away. Even Eric, usually so busy with orders, stood frozen, drawn into this spontaneous performance, but just as the air thickened with potential, the man's agitation bubbled back to the surface. He sat forward, fists clenched tight. The melodic thread that wove through the space seemed to snap as he shot up from the booth, casting a hurried glance around. Enough! He barked, his voice filled with an edge that sliced through the warmth. Do you think this is a game? You think you understand anything about struggle? Leo's heart plummeted. The music faltered, and he dropped his hands to his lap, the sound dwindling into silence. The atmosphere shifted dramatically, the buoyant energy punctured by the man's outburst. Nora stepped forward, defiance and compassion woven in her expression. We're not playing games. This is real. We see you, just like we see each other. For a heartbeat, everyone held their breath, caught between shock and tension. The man stood there, fist trembling, jaw clenched, struggling with something deep within himself. As he looked around, it was as if he were lost in a storm, caught on a precipice of his own making. Leo, feeling the weight of the moment, slowly rose from the piano. He took a step closer, heart racing. We just want to connect. We want to understand, he said softly. The man paused, and for a fleeting second, Leo thought he saw a flicker of vulnerability, as if behind the anger, there was a storm of pain yearning for release. That was when the door swung open, and another figure stepped inside. The chime of the bell broke the tension in the room, and Leo turned just enough to glance back, catching sight of a familiar face he hadn't expected to see. Did I miss something? The newcomer chimed in, eyes darting from the man in the booth to Leo. Suddenly, the emotional weight shifted yet again. Leo's heart pounded in his chest. Who was this new arrival? Would they help or deepen the complexity of the moment? The newcomer stepped further into the diner, the tension swirling around like leaves caught in a gale. Leo recognized her immediately. Sarah, a childhood friend. Seeing her now felt like a jolt of electricity, both comforting and overwhelming. Her bright smile usually lit up a room, but now it seemed to hang in the air, unsure of how to navigate the weighty atmosphere. Sarah? Leo called, his voice shaky. He instinctively felt the emotional wall he had built start to crack. Would she be the anchor he needed? Leo. she exclaimed, crossing the room with an energy that contrasted sharply with the heaviness pressing down on everyone else. She reached him and enveloped him in a tight hug, one that spoke volumes more than words could convey. He could feel her warmth balance the chilly confusion in his heart. As they embraced, Leo glanced back at the man in the booth. His tension hadn't eased, if anything, it intensified at the sight of Sarah. His brow furrowed deeper, a wall rising up again between him and everyone else in the diner. "Did I interrupt something?" Sarah asked, glancing around as she unwound from Leo. "No," Nora stepped in quickly, her voice steady. "We're just trying to connect. This man he's carrying something heavy." The man looked more unsettled than ever, shifting on his feet. He opened his mouth to retort but stopped, perhaps losing confidence amid the gathering crowd of concerned faces. Leo could feel a strange force pulling within him, an urge to reach out not just to the man, but to Sarah too. "Let me try," Leo said suddenly. It wasn't just an outline of a plan, it was a pulse of desperation. "I want to share something with you." He guided Sarah toward the piano, and as she moved to sit beside him, he felt her presence bolster his resolve. "Wait," the man said, uncertainty flickering in his voice, but he didn't move. Maybe curiosity had begun to outshine the anger. Leo seized the moment, returning his fingers to the keys. He played a few soft, tentative notes, letting them hang in the air before he dove into a familiar tune that always seemed to bring comfort. The music twirled around the diner again, but this time with Sarah's voice harmonizing beside him. It was a blend of nostalgia and old song they used to sing together. Through the melodies, Leo once again sensed a calming influence surging through him. He glanced up at the man, who stood utterly still, captivated by the music flowing through the room, weaving connections where there had only been silence. Leo's heart raced as he poured his soul into the notes, each one daring to slice through the defense the man had erected. As Leo played, he lost himself in the rhythm, and he felt a shift in the man's posture. The tightness in his fists relaxed, his shoulders started to lower, and Leo hoped that somewhere inside, a seed of understanding was taking root. Then Sarah chimed in, "You know, when we used to play this song, we always believed in the magic of it. Music has a way of healing, of revealing the truth." The man finally tore his gaze away from the duo and looked around the diner. Was he beginning to see their faces? Each one reflecting a collective yearning for connection. But just as hope began to bloom, the lights in the diner flickered. The song faltered, a dissonance ringing through the last notes. Everyone turned as the sudden sound of a commotion rushed toward them from outside, shattering the fragile moment they had created together. What was happening now? Leo's heart felt heavy once more. Would this be another layer of chaos to unravel? The door swung open wide, and the shadow of a figure stepped inside, casting an ominous presence that loomed heavily over them all. "What now?" Leo whispered, feeling the tightening grip of uncertainty seize him once again. The atmosphere shifted immediately, the tension thickening like summer humidity. The figure in the doorway was a man, tall and broad-shouldered, with a look that seemed to meld curiosity with menace. He scanned the diner quickly, his eyes narrowing as they settled on the scene playing out near the piano. "Leo," Sarah's voice trembled slightly at his side, her hand now resting on his shoulder. He could feel her fingers pressing gently as if she were grounding both of them. In that moment, the seemingly trivial diner transformed into a battleground of emotions. The man in the booth, still lingering on the edge of his own turmoil, finally broke the silence. "Who are you?" He directed toward the newcomer, his voice steady yet strained. The figure stepped forward, revealing a worn baseball cap pulled down low over his brow. "I'm looking for someone," he said, his tone gravelly. The diner fell still, a beat of heightened anticipation ringing out. "Who?" Leo asked, the word escaping his lips before he could stop it. He felt momentum building, a sense that something important was about to unfold. The man simply shrugged, sweeping a hand through the air like he was shaking off invisible weight. "Just someone who used to matter." A shudder coursed through Leo. He peeked toward Sarah. Her eyes shimmered with concern, and he could sense that they were both feeling the gravity of the moment, as if the air had been charged with potential energy waiting to be released. "Maybe that someone is here," Sarah said softly, her voice cutting through the silence. "Maybe not," the newcomer replied, his gaze flickering between the group before settling back on the man in the booth. "You don't know what you're carrying. You don't have to hide anymore." Leo felt a jolt at those words. Hide. It resonated deeply within him, echoing a personal truth he had never quite acknowledged. He wasn't just in this diner to reconnect with Sarah, he needed to confront his own shadows too. The man in the booth stiffened at the mention of hiding, the weight of unspoken truths hanging painfully in the air. Leo could see him grappling with something, wrestling internally as grit and vulnerability collided in his expression. "Who are you to tell me what to do?" The man's voice rose slightly, tinged with a mix of defiance and fear. The newcomer took a deep breath and stepped closer, his eyes piercing. "A friend. Sometimes, we need a nudge from the right person to face what we've been avoiding." At that moment, a shuddering silence fell again, but Leo could feel the shift and urge to break down barriers. The music from earlier buzzed faintly in his mind, igniting the embers of hope within him. "Maybe that voice is right," Leo said, standing a little taller. He locked eyes with the stranger. "You don't have to carry it all alone, none of us do." Leo could feel the stir of energy in the room, a spark igniting something in all of them. The newcomer nodded solemnly, as if he understood all too well the weight of burdens and the isolation they brought. The moment felt pivotal, charged with the possibility of revelation, but just as they were on the verge of breaking through, Leo noticed something shimmering on the floor, something small, metallic. A key? It glinted ominously under the harsh diner lights. The realization struck him harder than he expected. What did it mean? With urgency, he knelt down to pick it up. "What is this?" he asked, holding it up for everyone to see. The figures in the diner held their breath, their eyes locked on the key, as if expecting the very fabric of their intertwined fates to unravel with its discovery. What door would this key unlock? Leo thought as anticipation washed over him. Would it lead them deeper into the connection they craved, or unearth hidden secrets that demanded to be faced? The air crackled with a potential answer, and Leo felt his heart race. "Maybe it's time to find out," he whispered, the gravity of his own words dawning on him. As Leo held the key aloft, the mood shifted dramatically. The air thick with tension pulsed with curiosity and dread. Everyone in the diner leaned in, their words buzzing like bees around a blooming flower, radiating the possibility of the unknown. "What is it, Leo?" Sarah asked, her gaze fixed on the metallic object as if it were a piece of treasure. "I don't know," Leo replied, his voice steady but the flutter of uncertainty flaring in his chest. The key was cool and heavy in his hand, a tangible reminder of the secrets that lay buried beneath the surface. What door could it unlock? The man in the booth, the heavy-set stranger, exhaled sharply. The tension in his body seemed to waver a bit, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "Sometimes," he said, his voice quieter now but still raw, "a key leads to things we've buried. Or to things we've been wanting to unlock for ages," Eric interjected, placing his hands on the counter as if bracing for what was to come. Leo felt a fire building in his chest. "What if we find out what this is for together?" he suggested, glancing around the room. A flicker of hope ignited within him, illuminated by the very key that represented both burdens and breakthroughs. "Are you suggesting we unlock something?" Nora asked, her voice full of excitement and a hint of trepidation. "What if it's something painful?" "Pain can lead to healing," Leo said firmly, his determination growing. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about everyone in this diner, united by dreams and fears, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air like the last notes of a fading song. The man in the booth hesitated, eyeing Leo warily. "You think the past holds hope?" he asked, vulnerability creeping through his cynical facade. "It can," Leo replied. "But only if we face it." Nora stepped up alongside Leo, taking a deep breath. "We're all here with you," she said gently. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. Your past doesn't define you. The stranger scoffed lightly, but there was a flicker of something akin to hope in his eyes, a reminder of the dreams buried beneath layers of hardship. You're brave, all of you. Much braver than I've been. With the atmosphere thrumming around them, Leo moved toward the back of the diner where an old storage room lay just beyond a locked door. This key is possibly meant for something in here, he suggested, leading the way. As they gathered near the door, everyone behind him felt a swell of solidarity. The weight of their shared histories began to feel lighter. With a steady hand, Leo approached the door and inserted the key. A click echoed, and the door creaked open. Shadows danced in the dim light of the storage room, revealing forgotten objects draped in cloth, old furniture, dusty instruments, remnants of a once vibrant past. "Wow," Sarah whispered, her voice echoing in the stillness. "Look at this piano." Nora pointed excitedly. It was small, adorned with sweeping embellishments, but bore scars of time and neglect. Leo felt drawn to it. He wondered if it held echoes of laughter, of music that had once filled the air. As the group stepped further into the room, the man remained at the threshold, swallowing hard. "This was my father's piano," he finally admitted, his voice shaking. "After he died, I didn't want anything to do with music. Until now," Leo encouraged softly. "What if you gave it another chance?" "For all of us," Sarah added, moving closer to the man. "Letting go is hard, but together we can face the memories." The man studied the piano, tears welling in his eyes. I haven't touched it in years. "Maybe today's the day to change that," Leo urged. "You have us. Let us release these memories together." Trembling slightly, the man stepped into the room. Bending over the piano, he brushed his fingers over the keys, an almost reverent motion. "I never thought about playing again," he whispered. "Music was always a burden. Now it can be your bridge," Leo replied, stepping back but keeping his presence strong. As the first note rang out, a hesitant, lonely sound, the atmosphere shifted once more. The other diners gathered around the doorway, drawn by the haunting notes that filled the air, echoing memories while forging new paths. One by one, each note ignited something within. The man closed his eyes, allowing the piano to draw out years of grief and silence, his body relaxing into the rhythm. It was a shaky start, but the beauty began to blossom, transforming sorrow into a melody that resonated in the hearts of everyone present. In that moment, Leo felt something lift from his chest. He looked over at Maria, who stood in the rising crowd filled with tears of joy. It was not just music being played, it was healing. The man's music stirred something within Leo's own heart. His journey had just begun, a note in the song that would lead to bright, new horizons. A chorus of encouragement arose from their friends, the collective support like a warm hug. As the music swirled around them, each person was carried on a wave of connection, facing their past but eager to shape their futures together. Today was just the beginning, a beautiful chord struck in the harmony of life. Every shared moment shone with promise, igniting sparks of transformation, binding wishful hearts to dreams yet unveiled. Leo's heart soared, knowing together they would write a new symphony, hand in hand, step by step. As the last note rang out, the applause erupted, not just for the music, but for what their gathering meant, a celebration of courage, understanding, and the magic of new beginnings. This felt like a family born of love and connection, rising together through every struggle. It was the moment of awakening, a resounding reminder of the beauty that lay ahead, a melody waiting to unfold through the hearts united in this diner that had once only been a place for casseroles, and now it was a launching pad for dreams. As the echoes of music faded, Leo addressed the gathering audience, a sparkle in his eye. "What if we keep sharing our music? What if we make this a regular thing? We could start a community band right here." The crowd erupted with excitement, voices spilling over one another. "Count me in. I'm here. Let us do it." Leo's heart thumped with energetic anticipation. He glanced at the man who had opened up about his pain and recognized the spark of curiosity in his eyes. Together, they began anew, creating a path towards the extraordinary, and when the energy coursed through the room, a silent promise sweltered in the collective heart of Maplewood. The music would carry their stories, weaving a tapestry of hope and inspiration for everyone who sought a melody. As the crowd settled, Leo shared a smile with Nora, who stood proudly at his side. Their hearts danced. Not just in music, but in friendship forged in an unexpected moment of transformation. In that diner, dreams were taking flight, and they were all on the brink of something breathtaking. Don't just sit there, be a part of this journey. You need to subscribe now to catch every exclusive moment. Leave a like now to help fuel this channel's mission. Share your thoughts and feelings about this ending in the comments below, they mean the world, and don't wait not even one more second to share this inspiring story with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support makes all the difference.